Hey guys, Pete here. Today I'm going to preview the upcoming Yellowjackets episode by looking at the promo trailer and photos, and all the other stuff that's floating around out there on the internet. If any of that sounds like spoilers to you, or you're just not into wild speculation on what might happen in Yellowjackets Season 2, Episode 5, then this video won't be for you.
I've heard nothing but wonderful things about you.
What are you doing here, Ty? Allow yourself to go back. What do you see?
The title is Two Truths and a Lie, which refers to a game or maybe a team building exercise where someone introduces three things about themselves, two of which are true, and then the other players have to try to figure out which one is a lie. It's probably most interesting when all three things sound equally as outrageous or unbelievable, because that makes it hard to figure out which one is false. I'm not sure how this fits into whatever's happening in this episode because it's somewhat vague, as is the episode description, which reads, "Okay, Fellowjackets, rise and shine, and don't forget your booties because it's cold out there." Misty makes a leap of faith for her bestie. Natalie and Lottie play a game of surrender. Shauna finds herself unexpectedly randy, and Ty seeks out a movie recommendation. The trailer opens with Lottie talking to the others outside of the cabin, with everyone sitting in a circle. She says a new life is coming and we can't wait to meet him. In the photos of this, it looks like everyone is there except Nat and Shauna, and we see the latter watching from a distance. She turns her head to give you the sense that she doesn't like what's happening, but it's not readily apparent what's bothering her because it all looks innocent enough. They're holding hands in one shot, they're closing their eyes, but none of it looks all that off-putting. It looks like the beginnings of some of the stuff we'll see the cult doing down the road. And I mentioned that in my episode 1 video about the blessing she was giving Travis and Nat. Lottie is a teenager with no real experience in being a spiritual leader. A lot of what she was doing there felt like she was just trying out stuff that she was vaguely familiar with. It's all well-intentioned, none of it's innately sinister, but based on what she told the therapist in episode 204, we know that that might change. Shauna has been mostly quiet since they ate Jackie, which makes it hard to tell where she's at as she gets closer to her delivery date. But she was noticeably spooked by the symbol Lottie put on the blanket at the shower, so maybe her maternal instinct is kicking in. This scene just appears to show how things will continue to split inside the group, and you do see that Ty has a skeptical look on her face while she's sitting in the circle. They made a point to show that Lottie isn't power hungry though in the last episode. And then you also had Mari that was pushing this idea that Javi's return was evidence that Lottie has what amounts to special powers. It's notable that Javi doesn't show up in any of the photos or the trailer. So we don't get any hints about how the group's going to react to him being back at the cabin, or how the explanation of how he survived that long on his own will change things. There really isn't any evidence that he's there at all in any of the promotional material. The one thing you can pick up on is that his return wasn't good for teen Nat standing within the group. She looks isolated. There's one shot of her looking sad while she's talking to Coach Ben, who's become an outsider in his own right, which makes sense because they were close in the past. Travis is sitting in the circle without her, and I imagine he's upset about what she did with the bloody pants. It seems like she'll have some work to do to regain everyone's trust. Adult Nat has a lot going on though. We see her talking to Misty and Walter after they arrive at the gate of Lottie's compound. Nat asks who he is, and he introduces himself saying that he's heard nothing but wonderful things about her. It wouldn't be surprising if she was suspicious of Walter. The situation was different, but we saw how she treated the other citizen detectives she met. And we don't actually see Nat let them inside, and they don't show up in any of the other photos that have Lottie in them. Because of what they have on, this appears to be connected to the clip that was in the Season 2 trailer where he says, "Kidnapping, cults, death, your friendships are a little more complicated than most." Beyond that, no idea if they get inside or what they would do instead if they don't. I imagine the line from the description that says Misty takes a leap of faith for her bestie is referring to Nat and what transpires here, but it could also apply to the 96 timeline, which we'll come back around to. We also finally get this sequence where Lottie is doing a session with Nat. You see her flash the pen light on her and tell her to allow herself to go back, and she asks her what she sees. In the season 2 promo, she answers darkness and that they brought it back with them. And in another trailer, you hear more where she says that the whole time there was a darkness out there. You also see that she puts her head on Lottie's lap, and it changes so that you see Teen Nat doing that. So this appears to be a breakthrough for the character, if not their relationship, but we'll have to see where this goes. Because in the photos, it does look like she uses those keys that she was holding at the end of the episode to look through Lottie's stuff. There are shots of her looking through documents and folders, and then several shots where it looks like there might be a confrontation. I imagine that will happen first, that will be the inciting incident to get this session going, and maybe that will then clear the air. There's a quick shot of candles blowing out, and I think that might be connected to that. And there's also one quick flash of the Antler Queen walking through the plane after the crash, which looks like a vision, obviously. You see some flames behind her, and I don't know what else that might be connected to if not this. Callie comes into the kitchen to talk to her parents and says, "Remember when you asked if I told anyone? Promise you won't freak out." And Jeff says, "Sure," and they have a pretty surprised look on their faces. This is probably just her introducing the idea that she's dating an older guy. I mean, her parents can't really say anything about her choices now that she knows their secrets. And we do see her in Jay's car and on a date with him at the bowling alley. Because it doesn't seem like Shauna and Jeff and the whole family are going to go to prison for Adam's murder, it doesn't seem likely that she would have told him about anything other than the affair. But it's also obvious from other trailers that they're eventually going to get called in to answer questions. I really don't know what to expect from this. Since Shauna's probably not going to go to prison, what is this for? If Callie told Jay something serious, then they would probably have to kill him for it to make sense. And I don't really see it going that way either, because they would be the biggest suspects if that happened. I also don't really know why Teen Shauna and Ty team up, but it looks like they get caught away from the cabin in a storm. It's probably connected to Shauna looking uncomfortable with whatever Lottie was doing with the rest of the group, but I'm not sure how to connect the dots in a way that if she was worried about the baby, she would go wandering around in the forest. It looks like a pretty bad storm, though. We see Van yelling their names from the porch of the cabin as they are walking in the storm. We also see her watching Lottie while she has her eyes closed during the storm. So there's a little bit more of that trying to will something to happen like we saw in the last episode whenever she was in the hunting competition. The piece that's missing here might be related to Hobby, whatever was going on with him, but I don't have any real great ideas on it. Most of the theories and guesses that I saw didn't really add up, so we'll see what happens. There was a clip in another trailer where Shauna tells her that she needs her to have her back, but there's no indication of why. We hear adult Van ask Ty why she's there, what she's doing there, and she just shakes her head like she doesn't know. I mentioned in my last video, I think she thinks she might be able to help her figure out why she's sleepwalking again. And in the second shot, it looks like Van is standing there with the bad one. There are no additional photos of these two in the present day, and I'm pretty interested to see what they say to each other. There's a quick shot of Teen Ty and Akila messing around while they're washing clothes in the tub, but there isn't any context about what's happening. Maybe the most intriguing shot in this trailer is this one of Misty looking over a ledge. By itself, it's not much. It could be just about anything, but this might be a tragic event, or I might just be trying to connect a bunch of random things together. There was a trailer they put out after the premiere that showed scenes from the whole season. In that, you see Misty talking to Crystal wearing these same clothes. She says she has a secret, a ginormous one. And my first thought when I saw that was that she was referring to destroying the flight recorder, because that was the biggest secret she had in season 1. Her saying that and knowing that if that got out, the rest of the group would turn on her even more. Like they might just kill her because they don't like her anyway. All of that made it seem like this would put Crystal in danger if Misty confided in her. We've seen them getting closer. They're obviously tight friends now. And we've seen Crystal confide some things like absorbing her twin, and they both agreed that they kind of enjoyed eating Jackie. There's a bunch of promo photos of these two hanging around, doing what they've been doing, looking happy together in the cabin. And then there's a couple of them where Mari is holding up a deck of cards, making them draw from it. We know that they do this for some things. We know that Misty was having to go get the water. And we expect, because we saw the Queen of Hearts, that there will be bigger implications for this down the road. Here it looks like Crystal draws a 2, which is probably bad if the low card has to do some chore that no one else wants to do. But she still has a smile on her face, so maybe Misty agreed to help her. So you have Misty alone on the sledge looking over. And since it's always felt possible that she might end up killing Crystal over the secret anyway, you can't help but think that this might be when it happens. It's snowing, and there was a similar shot where she was crying in a similar situation. And the other thing is that these are the same clothes Misty's wearing when they're carrying the body that's tied to the stick. To add to this, in the shot where they're standing on the porch of the cabin and Van is yelling for Ty and Shauna, Misty is there, but Crystal isn't by her side. Two things that go against this idea are that the person on the stick is wearing Converse, and Crystal is wearing something different in the pictures where they're drawing cards. And Jen and Melissa are also missing from the porch shot, so the whole group isn't exactly there. I don't know, I looked through the other trailers and the promo photos for episode 6 and didn't see any shots of Crystal that come after this. But as I mentioned in the beginning, there aren't any of Hobby either. Might be something big, might be nothing. And I think that's a great place to leave things. Please like this video if you enjoyed it. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And thanks for watching. I'll talk to you soon.